We're gonna need to get big fast. You moving work.
Our work. Raq and me done. She dead to me already.
Need you to leave me and my peoples alone, Garcia.
What the fuck are you doing here? It's us now. Everybody else need to get the fuck out the way.
Unique is gone. Lulu is dead. And the two most dangerous men in Southside are now building an empire that nobody can stop. 2 episodes into the final season of Raising Kanan, and everything has already been flipped upside down. Raq has been pushed out of Southside completely and is now making moves in Manhattan. Marvin is walking around with a gun and the wrong name in his head. And Jukebox, the one person in this family who was supposed to be different, is about to do something in episode 3 that could change everything. Before June 26th hits, let's break down exactly where things stand, what the clues are telling us, and why episode 3 might be the most explosive one yet. We've just finished another incredible episode of Raising Kanan Season 5, and if the premiere already had you on the edge of your seat, episode 2 made it absolutely clear that this final season came to finish the story the right way. The biggest moment of the episode was, without question, Unique's exit from Southside. After being framed for Lulu's murder, losing his grip on South Jamaica, and realizing that even his business partners Kanan and Breeze would not protect him when things got dangerous, Unique made the one decision that almost nobody in this game ever survives long enough to make. He packed up and left Southside with Pernessa and Jerome. And honestly, the timing could not have been closer, because Marvin was already on the streets paying people for any information that could lead him straight to Unique. One moment of hesitation and that story would have ended in a body bag. But while Unique's exit was the emotional heart of the episode, the real power shift of episode 2 was happening around everything he left behind. Stefano Marchetti made his position crystal clear by officially going into business with Snaps, Pop, Breeze, and Kanan. And before that meeting even happened, Stefano had already sent a brutal message by arranging the assassination of Phil Russo, whose car was ambushed and riddled with bullets in a classic mob-style hit. That move alone tells you everything you need to know about Stefano. He does not make threats, he makes examples. And now that he is aligned with Snaps, Pop, Kanan, and Breeze, the alliance at the top of Southside has never been more powerful or more dangerous. On the other side of the city, Raq did what only Raq ever does. Pushed completely out of Southside with no room to operate, she did not accept defeat for a single second. Instead, she walked straight into Manhattan and secured deals with both Pino Bernardi, the head of the Manhattan Mafia, and Flossie Siegel, a woman who runs an illegal escort operation with deep NYPD connections. That partnership with Flossie is particularly fascinating because Flossie is not a woman who does business out of loyalty or friendship. She does it purely out of opportunity, and that kind of partner is always the most unpredictable one in the room. Raq is building something new, and the fact that it echoes the Manhattan moves we eventually see in the original Power makes every scene she is in carry extra weight. Meanwhile, Marvin is still completely in the dark. He is consumed by grief over Lulu's death, and he is fully convinced that Unique is responsible. That grief has already turned him into something dangerous, as we saw when he killed Akbar just while searching for information. He is not thinking straight, and the tragic part of all this is that Raq already knows the truth. Unique did not kill Lulu, but she cannot tell Marvin right now without the entire situation exploding. That gap between what Marvin believes and what Raq knows is one of the most volatile threads in this entire season, and it is only going to keep tightening as the episodes move forward. Now heading into episode 3, the official synopsis confirms that Raq and Marvin launched their new Manhattan operation, while Kanan and Breeze's business continues to grow stronger. And Jukebox is set to take a significant risk to protect the family, with her target appearing to be Detective Garcia, who had her close friend Aisha caught up in police business. And here is what makes this so unsettling. Jukebox is already showing every sign of becoming the hardened, dangerous version of herself that Power fans know she eventually becomes. We already saw her ready to shoot a cop at his own doorstep in episode 2. So if she actually follows through on Garcia in episode 3, she is not just taking a risk, she is crossing a line she can never uncross. But the real question is, with Raq still rebuilding, Marvin barely holding it together, and Kanan fully committed to his own empire, who exactly is left to protect Jukebox when that move goes wrong? Now that we know where everyone stands after episode 2, Let's talk about the bigger picture that is quietly building underneath all of these individual storylines, because there is a lot more happening here than just business moves and alliances. The first thing that needs to be said is that the Kanan and Breeze partnership is no longer something that can be called tentative or new. It is locked in. And with Snaps and Pop, Breeze's aunt and uncle, bringing decades of street credibility to the operation, this alliance has a foundation that is genuinely hard to shake. Kanan is no longer building within his mother's shadow. He has his own network, his own power structure, and his own direction. And that is exactly the version of Kanan that this entire series has been leading toward from day one. But here is the thing about this alliance that nobody is really talking about enough. In episode 2, Unique warned Kanan directly not to trust Breeze, and Kanan brushed it off completely. He even joked about barely being able to keep track of all the Stark family drama himself. And I get why he did that. At this point in the story, Unique is not exactly the most reliable voice in the room. But the fact that the show gave us that warning so clearly and so early in the season tells us something important. That piece of advice is not going to be forgotten. At some point before this season is over, Kanan is going to remember exactly what Unique told him, and by then it might already be too late. For now, though, episode 3 is titled Tricks, and the partnership is still growing stronger. Raq and Marvin are launching their new Manhattan operation, and Kanan and Breeze are expanding in Southside. Two separate empires, two very different teams, and a collision between them that feels more inevitable with every single episode. Speaking of Raq, let us be honest about just how dangerous her situation really is right now. Yes, she has made new deals with Pino Bernardi and Flossie Siegel. Yes, she has found herself a lane in Manhattan. But Raq is also operating in a city where Kanan has already made it clear, in his own words from the Season 5 trailer, that he has been her enemy his whole life. And in that same trailer, we saw Kanan sitting across from Stefano Marchetti and telling him, "Do what you gotta do," while a photo of Raq sat right there between them. Stefano's response was, "I plan on it." That exchange is one of the most chilling moments of any Power Universe trailer in a long time, because it means that Kanan is not just cutting ties with his mother. He is actively opening the door for her to be eliminated. And now that Raq and Marvin are launching a new operation in Manhattan in episode 3, they are stepping directly into territory where Pino Bernardi already has a footprint and Stefano has reach. Every move Raq makes right now is happening inside a trap she does not fully see yet. And then there is Marvin. Marvin is perhaps the most heartbreaking character in this entire season because he is fighting so hard for something that is completely wrong. He is burning everything looking for revenge on Unique for a murder that Unique did not commit. It was Kanan who accidentally killed Lulu while trying to kill Raq. Raq knows this, but Marvin does not. And every episode that passes where Marvin does not learn the truth, the gap between the man he is and the man he could become gets wider and more dangerous. His conversations with Jukebox have been the most emotionally honest moments of this season so far because both of them are processing the loss of Lulu from completely different angles. But grief without truth is just a fire with no target. And Marvin's grief right now is pointed directly at the wrong person. When the real truth finally reaches him, and it will, the fallout from that moment is going to reshape everything. Because it is not just that Unique was innocent. It is that the person who actually did it is the nephew he raised, the young man he has been fighting alongside this whole time. And that truth is sitting in the background of every single scene Marvin is in, waiting to explode. So before you get too comfortable watching Raq and Marvin build something new in Manhattan in episode 3, ask yourself this. How long can a partnership survive when one person is carrying a secret that would make the other want to burn the whole world down? Let us talk about the character who is quietly becoming one of the most important stories of this entire final season, Jukebox. Because what is happening with her right now is not just a side storyline, it is one of the most significant character journeys in the whole Power universe, and episode 3 is about to push her further down a road she cannot come back from. We already know from showrunner Sasha Penn himself that Season 5 will definitively answer how Kanan was ultimately able to kill Jukebox in the original Power. That is a massive promise, and the show is already laying the groundwork right in front of our eyes. In episode 1, Jukebox treated Aisha coldly after years of genuine closeness between them. And in episode 2, she was standing on a cop's doorstep, ready to shoot him dead. That is not the Jukebox we met in season 1. That is someone who has made a decision deep down about what kind of person she is going to be. Critics have already called it, Jukebox has firmly entered her supervillain era. And honestly, it is hard to argue with that. Going into episode 3, Jukebox's target is Detective Garcia, who got Aisha dragged into police business, and Jukebox wants that to stop. What makes this so layered is that Garcia has reportedly been pushing to get Jukebox to become an informant, to join his snitch ring for some time now. So this confrontation is not just about protecting Aisha. It is about Jukebox drawing a permanent line in the sand between herself and the police. And in the world of Raising Kanan, drawing that line usually means being willing to cross it with violence. The risk she is about to take in episode 3 is described in the official synopsis as a risk taken to protect the family. But here is what the show has always done so well. The things that characters do to protect the people they love are almost always the same things that destroy them in the end. And with only 6 episodes left after this one, every move Jukebox makes from here on is a move that is taking her either toward or away from what we already know her fate will be. Now, the episode title itself is worth paying attention to. Episode 3 is officially called Tricks, and that word carries 2 very specific meanings in this world. On one level, it connects directly to Flossie Siegel's operation. She runs an illegal escort business, and that world has its own language. But on another level, Tricks speaks to deception, manipulation, people not being exactly what they appear to be, and that second meaning feels like the real pulse of this episode, because almost every major player right now is either running a trick on someone else or is about to have one run on them. Raq is building a new operation in Manhattan while her son is quietly opening the door for Stefano to come after her. Marvin is chasing a ghost while the real killer sits right beside him. And Breeze is presenting himself as Kanan's most trusted partner while Unique's warning about him is still sitting unanswered in the background. And that brings us to the biggest picture of all. This is the final season. 8 episodes, only 5 remain after Tricks. Sasha Penn has promised that every question this series has raised is going to be answered before the finale on August 7th. That includes the Thomas family's complete collapse. That includes how Kanan becomes the version of himself that Power fans first met years ago. And it includes the answer to the darkest question hanging over this entire story, the road that leads to Kanan and Jukebox ending up on opposite sides of something there is no recovering from. Right now, in episode 3, they are still in the same world. Kanan is still someone Jukebox can have an honest conversation with. But with every episode, that window closes a little more, and the show is counting down to the moment when it shuts completely. So before you watch episode 3 drop on Stars this Friday, June 26th, I want to know what you think. Will Jukebox actually make her move against Garcia in this episode? And do you think anyone in the Thomas family is going to survive this season with their relationships intact? Drop your theories in the comments right now because this final season is moving fast and we need to talk about every single moment of it together.